Hello, Tuesday Night Pokemon fans. Welcome back to Tuesday Night Pokemon here at the Forge. I am the guy on the left, John, joined by the handsome co-host.
Hey, I'm Tim, and we're actually going to jump right into action tonight. We're kicking it over to the table right now with our first stream match.
On the bottom there, we've got 20th place finisher at EUIC, former co-host, future co-host, Tom Hellenkamper, coming back for a trip with Italy, taking his prize money and spending it wildly over in the EU. Successful run over at the European International Championship for Tom, I think locking up his Worlds invite at the same time. And on the top there, we've got Austin, a rival of Tom. They were actually talking a little bit of trash earlier today. Going to be featured on stream first. These two friends, co-hosts of their podcast as well, playing for the first time. Tim, I don't know what they're playing. Do you have any idea?
It was Charizard on the top, I believe, for Austin. And I think Tom said something about Ancient Box, or a variation of Ancient Box. So maybe not the typical box you're expecting, but similar. Running that the Dunsparce that likes to run back into the deck and draw you some cards. And there's Roaring Moons that like to pile up damage for ancient Pokemon in your discard.
Speaking of piling up damage to your credit card, if you want a discount reminder, you can always come use the discount code we feature every week till next Monday. 10% off any purchases here at the Forge. The code for this week is Forge Pokemon Discount. Also asking the owners here, they don't normally advertise this unless you're here. However, they've started doing 20% off select Pokemon stuff here at this store on Tuesday Night Pokemons. Last week, they said 20% off anything you want that's Pokemon related. And it was a bit of a run on the store. Tim, you picked yourself up something nice?
I did. I grabbed the Charizard EX from Paldean Fates, the special illustration rare one. I pretty much ran out to the counter once I heard the 20%, because I was already thinking about it. I was like, I've been wanting this Charizard, and it was there. And then they said 20%. I was like, well, I have no reason not to now.
If you watch that video on demand back, the smacking sound about halfway through is Tim's headset hitting the desk as he ran out to go get that.
Threw it down.
So if you come and the rest of the week, you can use that discount code Forge Pokemon Discount. It really helps us here on the stream to prove we're adding value to the store here. But if you show up, sometimes you can actually get 20% off all Pokemon goods. For all you competitive players out there too, that includes singles. So if you're looking to get on that Giratina V-Star hype, you want to get some Idlelock from the Banette EX, come on down on Tuesday nights. You can play with us. You can be on stream. You can win some prizes. And then usually you can get 20% off select Pokemon stuff. So some great shuffling from our players here, showing their skill.
I'm admiring the dedication to a good shuffle.
All right. See our players beginning the game. See who's going first. I know with Tom's deck, sometimes first is beneficial if you can get a good setup. Charizard usually wanting to go second so you can get the consistency of the Arvins. But we'll see who's going first. Some polite cut between these two friendly rivals.
Charizard, a deck that doesn't mind at all going second for the sake of setup, and also if you lose an early single prize, it honestly doesn't hurt you at all. It actually helps. Fuels that damage of Charizard as the game goes on, and it just allows you to start swinging for big numbers right away.
Unfortunately for Austin, starting with a mulligan, having to show what he's got. Tom now aware that he is playing Charizard. I did see what I call Moon setup in Tom's hand. He's got the mini moon, he's got the big moon. I'm interested to see which one he opts for here. That little moon does 10 extra damage on top of 70 for each ancient card in your discard pile, where the big moon allows you to one-hit anything with Frenzied Gouging for 2 dark and 1 colorless, or Calamity Storm for 100 damage, or 220 if you can discard a stadium. So Tom got a pretty good setup. Dark Patch in hand is going to get 1 extra card from the mulligan if Austin can find something here. And Austin looks like he's got a great starting hand with that Charmander.
Curious to know if Austin maybe runs the Mist Energy that would prevent a Frenzied Gouging on his Charizard EX. The Mist Energy would stop the effects of attack, which would be that instant KO. We'll have to see. We don't have access to Austin's deck list this evening. We'll just have to watch it unfold as you guys do.
All right, Austin starting, unfortunately, first. Unable to use that Arvin, going to attach and pass. Good news for Austin. Tom usually not able to get off an attack on the first turn. Potentially able to set it up on the Roaring Moon EX. Potentially being able to take a knockout with this little Roaring Moon. but unlikely because those dark patches don't attach energy to the active. So we'll see what Tom is going to do. See some gold dark patches in the deck. A lot of Roaring Moons, the Dunsparce. Tim, for those not familiar, how does that Dunsparce work?
Yeah, so the Dunsparce, will evolve after the basic Dunsparce. So the Dunsparce has the ability, I forget the name of the ability, but Runaway Draw maybe?
I think that's right.
I think it is.
Nice job.
So Runaway Draw lets you draw 3 cards, and you actually draw the 3 cards first, and then the Dunsparce retreats essentially back into the deck. Kind of beneficial to be able to see those cards. It gives you some information on what you might be promoting in some cases, if you had options. Tom's not going to be able to be runaway drawing on his first turn because he's not going to be able to evolve it right away, but that'll be something that'll kind of fuel his draw engine in this game.
Now, Tom running multiple copies of multiple different ancient cards, because the more ancient cards that go into the discard pile, the more powerful his Roaring Moons get for 2 dark energy, hitting for that 70 plus the quantity of ancient cards in the discard pile. That ancient booster capsule, though, beneficial that even if it gets discarded, adding energy or adding damage to his Roaring Moons. But right now, that Roaring Moon has 200 health on a single prizer basic. I think we're in the era of big basics coming out to swing at Charizard EX.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, that's a big ask of because initially, you know, if Tom, I guess if he took a prize card here, he'd win the game. But like in general, Charizard EX is going to be swinging for 180 damage if no prize cards are taken. So not even going to be able to one-shot that single prize moon. Very beneficial to have that capsule on there.
All right, Explorer's Guidance, look at the top 6, put 4 in the discard pile, put 2 in your hand. A great way to accelerate those ancient cards into the discard pile. A bit risky, though. Sometimes you can have everything you need and things you don't want to get rid of in the late game. Let's see what Tom decides to stick with. Definitely going to keep an Artisan. Probably going to throw a Dark Energy in the discard pile so we can use that Dark Patch, but there's nothing to attach to with that Dark Patch.
Going to be discarding another capsule, Explorer's Guidance, Professor Sada's Vitality, and another Explorer's Guidance.
I will give Tom credit, since Tom is a frequent commenter here on the screen. He is going through his cards in a way that we can easily see them. Tom, kudos. Appreciate that.
That is appreciated. Concealed cards. Discarding an energy and drawing 2 cards does pick up Professor Sada's Vitality and Roaring Moon EX. Professor Sada's Vitality not going to be able to be played on this turn since Tom did use Explorer's Guidance, but on future turns, it's going to be able to accelerate energy from the discard pile to his ancient Pokemon in play. And we do see Tom establish a board and pass back over to Austin. Austin able to use that Arven on this turn. He's going to be able to go and pull out an item and a tool card from his deck. Also valuable information that Austin's able to just search his deck for the first time in this game. He hasn't been in there yet, so he's able to see what's been prized, what is available. Eyeing up the Buddy Buddy Poffin and Maximum Belt currently. Buddy Buddy Poffin would be able to further establish a board. Right now there isn't much one to speak of, just a Charmander with an energy.
Sometimes the Charizard deck does take a little while to get going, but if your opponent does take some prizes, all of a sudden your Charizard can do, after 1 prize, 210 damage. So you're taking out that Roaring Moon with an Ancient Booster Capsule. After 2 prizes, you're doing 240. Is that right? Yeah, 240. Yep. So now you're one-shotting all the basics in the format. So that Charizard, while sometimes it may get a slow start, once you get that the Pidgeot EX and the Bibarel established, that is a deck that can come from behind extremely quickly.
Well, and important to note, too, Austin does run the Maximum Belt, which allows you to do 50 additional damage to Pokemon EX, which actually ends up lining up the math perfectly to one-hit KO a Roaring Moon EX without Tom taking any prizes, because you've got base damage of 180 plus the 50 will bring you to 230. That'll be an instant knockout on the Roaring Moon. He would have to force the Roaring Moon into the active, but it's just another option that's available.
All right, the bad setup from Austin turning into a great board state established here. Getting that Pidgey down for next turn, hopefully going for Pidgeot EX so he can quick search to further establish his board. Got the big hammer in the active Charizard EX with 2 energy attached, so will be able to do 180 damage this turn. I'm wondering what else he has in his hand that would allow him to bring the Roaring Moon EX up, Potentially, he doesn't play Prime Catcher. We know that. And he's already used a supporter, so I think this one's just going to be swinging at the Roaring Moon. Maybe he has a Lost Vacuum. He'll be able to take off that Ancient Booster Energy Capsule.
So I see the belt in hand. I see another Candy for future turn. Looked like a Super Rod. Maybe Charmeleon, but nothing that's going to help take a KO. It looks like we just saw the swing for 180, and now Tom's going to start his turn off with that Professor Sada's Vitality that we mentioned before.
Does have the Dunsparce in hand, so going to dig with Sada's a little bit. Going to see the Dunsparce probably get promoted to a Dunsparce. Going to shuffle the deck a little bit, though. Grabbing another Dunsparce.
Well, and Dunsparce also a free retreater as well, so great pivot option for future turns if it hasn't been evolved yet. And just being able to chain those draw threes, very beneficial as you go throughout the game. In Pokemon TCG, if you're drawing cards, you're generally having a good time. You want to see many cards from your deck and open up options for yourself.
Both these players playing this game more like chess than a game of friendly Pokemon cards. Both extremely competitive. Tom very successful. Austin as well. And they're actually, we didn't mean to say that they're actually rivals. They're friendly rivals. They do co-host a podcast together. So
yeah.
All right, see how the energy attachment with Sada's. Right now, Tom needs to find another Dark Energy to potentially establish some damage on that Charizard. I'm questioning if Tom plays a Devo. I'm skeptical, but it is possible.
To Dunsparce with that runaway draw. Drawing 3 cards first. Looked like Dark Energy, Earthen Vessel, and Superior Energy Retrieval.
Now, Tim, you saw him put him on the top of the deck. That's an experienced player knowing I'm going back into the deck. I will be shuffling. Let's not waste the time to shuffle.
Yep.
Just efficiencies.
Earthen Vessel, pitching a Dark Energy and pulling 2 additional Dark Energies out. Allows Tom to have energy in hand, but also available in the discard pile for additional Sadas moving forward. 2 Dark Energy in the hand, of course, will open up the option for concealed cards, too. If Tom wants to see 2 more, he could pitch 1 more energy into the discard pile and see 2 additional cards.
All right, let's see what he chooses to do. Gonna get one of those cards in the discard pile using concealed cards. Gonna find himself another Roaring Moon and another Dark Patch. He has enough Dark Patches right now with an attachment for turn to get that Roaring Moon EX fully powered up. So we may see a Frenzied Gouging for a knockout on the only Charizard EX that Austin currently has. However, that Roaring Moon EX is only going to have 30 health remaining after the fact.
Right.
Oh, opting to power up the active Roaring Moon, Baby Moon. You see Tom keeping track of his resources, his ancient cards, the counter on the right, counting up the damage that this Baby Moon will do.
Looks like attack. Can't quite see the amount of damage placed on there, but not able to knock it out in one shot, as Charizard EX does have that very beefy 330 HP.
Too much HP. But that's the era we're going into. Is it's going to be Charizard and everybody else until they start releasing 350, 360 HP Pokemon in probably later this year is my best guess. So
feels like Pokemon with each format, each rotation, they have a deck that they would like to be the strongest deck, and Charizard clearly positioned as that right now.
No, I'm going to disagree. It only like took up 8 of the top 20 spots at Orlando, so it's not that good.
No.
No one actually likes it either. It's not most people's favorite Pokemon. I mean, the Pokemon Company is definitely in the business of making money, so they put their stars out front and give them way too much health and an ability that barely does less than break the game. So both the players here building up massive hand sizes. Interesting to see if any disruption will be coming down from either of them. If Austin can get that Pidgeot EX established right now, he will be able to go get any card he would like, maybe an Iono just to kick the hand size down for Tom, but we'll see what he opts to do.
Could Iono or could search out a boss's orders because he has that maximum belt in hand. He could attach the maximum belt to the active Charizard.
I think he agrees with you, Tim.
Pull up that Roaring Moon and knock it out before Frenzied Gouging is an option for Tom. He's going to evolve the bench Charmander into Charmeleon. Oh, he's going to attach the maximum belt down there, so that knockout of the Roaring Moon is not going to be an option anymore. Not yet.
We'll see if he opts to take 2 prizes to start, or
he does like the Iono. Went with that over the boss, valuing, I guess, a fresh hand over being able to knock out that moon.
Tom taking a moment to look longingly at all the cards that are going to go to the bottom of his deck. Wave goodbye to those dark patches, Tom. You'll probably see them later in the game. Tom going to be drawing 3 new cards. Does find another dark patch. Does find a Dunsparce. So Tom will be drawing significantly more cards. Finds his Prime Catcher as well, so he'll be able to control the board state of Austin a little bit. That was probably the best case Iono for Tom.
Yeah, a lot of times those disruption cards can really be backbreaking, but other times it freshens up your hand too, and you're happy to see it. So it's a supporter for both of you sometimes.
I think on stream a couple of times we've seen someone rock sand into a professor's research.
Yep.
And it's like,
yeah,
appreciate the new hand. All right, see what Austin decides to do here. Did promote the Charmander into a Charmeleon, making that Charizard, hopefully next turn, going to be Devo proof. Devo kind of a menace against the Charizard decks. When you've got the basic stage 1 and stage 2, you're just kicked down to that Charmeleon, not all the way down to the Charmander. You have to rare candy back up. With the damage established on the Charizard EX right now anyway, Devo would take the KO on that Charmander underneath it as well. Curious to see if Tom plays it. I don't think he does, but it would be a pretty spicy little attack right now to take it out.
Looks like Austin running the Tord version of the Charizard list as well that we talked about last week on the stream. Tord Reklev, of course, I'd say arguably, but I don't know how much argument there is of the best player in the world, Pokemon-wise.
There's no question.
And he came up with the idea. He's like, I'm going to have Pidgeot EX where I can search anything. Bibarel for draw. We're going to have a Cleffa in here. He's got all kinds of stuff going on, and Austin representing that on his board as well. And he also was able to take a knockout on Baby Moon. Tom chooses to promote the Dunsparce as a free retreat option.
Building up his board with baby draw options.
And also, if he finds himself the Dunsparce, he'd be able to do that runaway draw again and build up his hand size.
And it occurs to me now, too, it may have a free retreat, but if it is a Dunsparce in the active, you can just yoink it back into your deck and then run up whatever else you would like. So he's got his own sort of bench gust support built into a draw supporter. If you do go back, viewers, on a couple of let's see what he decides to do here. Does have the Prime Catcher, so he could do a good pivot as well. Opting to get rid of a Dark Patch. Let's see what the choice is there. Likely saving the Roaring Moon EX until later in the game to take the last one-hit knockout on a Charizard. Austin is on odd prizes right now, so if he was to take two-prize knockouts, he'd still have to take a final 1-prize knockout.
Ooh, counter catcher. I was just going to say, could we see the Prime Catcher used on Pidgeot right now, too, to take the ability to search anything out of your deck out of play? Austin doesn't have a backup Pidgey established right now, so he's not going to be able to candy back up to a Pidgeot if Tom takes this Frenzied Gouging knockout.
Austin did last turn, though, establish a Bidoof on the bench, so he will, if he can find a Bibarel, his one-off Bibarel in his deck, be able to draw up to some new cards. I think Tom right now is hoping that Austin won't find it off of these 5 cards he'll be seeing from the top of his deck. Now, Tim, you think he's going to Frenzied Gouging away the 280 HP Pidgeot EX?
Yeah, I think the counter catcher there kind of lines up that play. Not a lot of value in counter catchering to place 220 damage on it. If you're not taking the knockout, probably better served taking out the Charizard that was, a threat being
original Charizard decks we were seeing in the Obsidian Flames era.
Well, and as you mentioned about how broken Charizard is, it doesn't take, shockingly, it doesn't take all that much to get it set up. So when it requires so little, you have a lot of space in your deck for other things that can help you swing some matchups or, like you said, just kind of, tech things in. So not going to be asking a whole lot. It does have that booster capsule on it, though, so that would make it difficult. There's the Heat Tackle Charmander that exists in the Charizard EX deck that does do 30 damage. Were it not for the booster capsule, he would be able to just swing for 30, take the KO on Moon, but with the HP buff, he's going to have to do a little bit more than that.
I will say, Austin, I think, planned ahead for the situation with the Charmeleon right now does 50 damage plus 50 additional damage from the maximum belt. It would have enough to take the KO on the Roaring Moon EX and only leave a single prizer in the active, and still having a Charizard on the bench. So I don't know if he saw the future or knew what deck Tom was playing and what his play was. We were questioning why he put the maximum belt there. I think this is the exact reason. Way, a Rotom and a Pidgeot EX. And getting the Bibarel does have 4 in hand, so we'll be able to see 1 extra card. If there is a Fire Energy in hand, he would be able to attach the energy to the Charmeleon to take the KO there. Could promote the Charizard into the active to take a KO there. It doesn't have any Water Energy, so we're not going to see a Lumineon Wave Return attack. That would be cool in a Charizard deck, but unlikely.
Cool.
Hopefully, I'm thinking what Austin's going to be trying to do now is to either get a Turo to put the Lumineon back in the hand, or a Collapsed Stadium to put it back in the hand, and then remove some of the draw support that Tom has established on his bench as well. We'll see what he decides to do here.
The Lost Vacuum away, I presume the capsule's been taken off.
Beating his hand down a little bit. Going to see 4 new cards. Finds a Rare Candy. Finds another Charizard, so we will see that Charmander promoted into a Charizard if he so chooses. I think he's setting up for a Charmeleon KO here with a Charizard backup. 2 Charizards is pretty darn good. Could Collapse Stadium away the one that's damaged to limited 2-prize liability. It's going to leave Tom a bit in a tough spot here. 2-prizer for a 1-prizer. Does grab the Radiant Charizard as well. So Austin, a slow start. Getting up to a good pace here now, though. We'll see what Tom does.
So we did see Tom use his counter catcher earlier. He did not use his prime catcher yet. So we until Roaring Moon EX is needed again, I don't think you'll see it hit the field. Tom will be more than happy to have a single prize board state and see if he can just outrace Austin by taking 2 prize knockouts with single prizers. Shuffling up the deck now after the Artisan play puts another Baby Roaring Moon on the bench.
Baby Roaring Moons. We've got the draw support that we've spent with the Dunsparce. The Radiant Greninja cannot attack. I wonder what Tom's thinking right here. If he can get 2 energy with the Setas down, that's ideal. He's got a decent buildup of ancient cards in the discard pile. Could take the KO on this Charmeleon, but you've got a Charizard just hanging out on the bench. What do you do?
Well, again, I think it's like perfect scenario would have been to be able to gust up Lumineon or finish off that damaged Charizard on the bench, but not really going to be able to do that in this. He does draw into the prime catcher.
There's a prime catcher.
Does he have another Dark Patch in hand? He's got so much bling and gold knockouts at that point before Tom takes 1 or 2, depending on what he's able to get.
100% right. Tom can establish a 100% single prizer board state. Go down 1 prize at a time, or maybe 2 prizes, and give up 1 prize at a time. He is behind on the prize trade, but he is ahead on the prize trade just because the liabilities on his bench are far better than those on Austin. Going down to 3 prizes, taking out the draw support in the Bibarel, I think a smart move. Cleffa, a pretty cool draw ability, but it does end your turn.
Right.
A great free retreater as well, kind of a bonus that Tord discovered in the awesomeness that is that card. We'll see how Austin decides to respond. He does have, on Tom's side of the board, a Baby Roaring Moon that is almost getting powered up. Just 1 more Dark Energy to get that online. So we'll see what Austin decides to chase down here. I think he's got to...
the strategy. I mean, you mentioned chess earlier, and I think this is really being showcased here. Austin, wisely, much like Tom will do on many of his turns, not only looking at how do I take this KO, but he's looking at how do I set myself up for the next KO. When he evolved that...
We'll see what Austin's going to do here. Does have a free retreat on the Cleffa. I think he's going to send up the Charizard, take out this Baby Roaring Moon. and then just hope Tom does not have the ability to take out a Charizard or gust up a Luminion.
Yeah, Austin wisely, and again, this is the brilliance of setting up the next turn. The easiest way for Tom to take a knockout on a fully powered up Charizard EX would be with his Roaring Moon EX. If he does take the Charizard out, though, Austin has Radiant Charizard ready to instantly respond KO on that Roaring Moon, and the game is over. So potential checkmate scenario in that case, Tom really going to have to be sticking to single prize board, swinging for big damage with the ancient cards in the discard pile. But the odds are starting to stack a little bit against him. Tom is eyeing up that Moon EX.
Roaring Moon can one-shot the Charizard, but most of the things on Austin's bench can just immediately step up and wipe it out.
To EOIC then.
You just have to top
Just
16 at
gonna have
NAIC, and then you
Yeah.
can. Biden's going to be able to see the entire rest of his deck. Looks like 3 cards remaining. One of the largest hand sizes we've seen here on stream. Now the challenge for Tom is if he can get most of those ancient cards in the discard pile. He needs, I believe, 26 ancient cards in his way to just get those ancient cards in the discard pile. 26 is the magic number. We saw it come up one short in the finals of Orlando. We'll see what he can do.
Superior Energy Retrieval ditching the 2 copies of Explorer's Guidance. That's going to allow Tom to pull up to 4 energy from his discard pile. Tom doesn't need 4 at this point, and probably be happier there to potentially accelerate energy from the discard pile, so he only pulls 2. It's really about getting those Explorer's Guidance cards into the discard, which he was able to do.
Now, I know you viewers can't see here in the store with us live. You're seeing their hands. We do have our judge and organizer, Ryan, watching over this game with great interest. It's one of the last games to finish up in the first round here. So we got quite a few viewers in the shop just watching these 2 masters at play. We'll see if Tom can piece together the puzzle pieces, though, to take this one-hit KO on this Charizard EX.
Double Earthen Vessel played. Earthen Vessel discards a card from your hand and then pulls up to 2 energy out of your deck. Tom not really looking to pull anything out of the deck. He just, again, needs...
Top decks the boss's orders to bring
Ooh.
up the Roaring Moon. Charizard doing enough damage to
gonna
do the knockout. That was a chess game. He was searching for the counter catcher
prize.
in his prizes the entire time. Sometimes the prizes are not in your favor, but that was a fantastic game to watch.
That was a really good game to watch.
That's the first time we've seen Ancient Box on stream as well. We've seen some Ancient cards featured. Roaring Moon EX from the last format was a really big one, but just having the Ancient Box Baby Moon with Big Moon has been actually kind of fun to see. Some of the better players in the world. I know JW Krewall's actually been really focusing on the Baby Moon with Big Moon at the same time as well. So no surprise that Tom also finds that deck to be so interesting.
Well, and I'm sold on the Dunsparce. We've got
We sold it. We sold the
runaway
Dunsparce.
draw and get your game going that way. So
all right, so get them now because the price is about to go up based on that matchup. All right, we'll be right back with the winner's interview with Austin real quick, and then we'll jump into the second round. You got time for a stack? Stick around.
Gardevoir in the past. Obviously, I think losing Level Ball was a huge hit for it. And I've been kind of pivoting into Charizard, and I've been really liking the deck overall. And obviously, in this format, it's a Titan.
yeah, it really is. And you were able to do something on that response turn with the Pidgeot. You sent up the Charmeleon to take the, I believe it was a Charmeleon to take the KO on the Roaring Moon.
Absolutely.
So trading single prize for two prizer was helping you to offset Tom's ability to go 2/2/2.
Absolutely.
But when you're able to
Playing the 70 HP Charmander that cannot hit for 30 damage for 1 energy. If I would have been playing that one, which it's in the mail, so it will be in the deck here soon. But had I been playing that one, I would have been able to turn attached to the Charmander and preserve the Charmeleon. In the end, it ended up working out anyway for me because he ended up prime catching around the Charmeleon,
Right.
And so that ended up helping quite a bit. But I also did still have the rare candy Charizard in hand, so
everything you need.
I had just about everything I needed, so it was a really good game. Yeah.
Well, congrats again. Thanks for joining us. I got word that we're going to be getting set up for round 2, so you got to go get ready, and we'll get ready. And yeah, I'm sure we'll be seeing you again soon. So
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
all right, thank you. And we are back. We've got our second round of action coming at you here. We're actually going to be getting a little bit more Charizard and a little bit more Ancient Box.
So more old stuff.
We're going to be able to break down our matchup here. John, you'll have to remind me of our players here. I think we have a John and Marco. I think Marco is maybe on the top.
You are 100% right.
And then John there on the bottom. John going to be running the running Ancient Box.
Tim, I'm not familiar with this one.
Marco going to put that Baby Moon that we saw last round onto his bench. Of course, as the game moves on, Marco is going to be looking to establish ancient cards in his discard pile to fuel the damage of Vengeful Feathers or Fletching.
The 2 dark attack. Can we call it that?
The 2 dark attack.
All right, you were 100% right. Koraidon's attack, Primordial Beatdown, 30 multiplied by the number of ancient Pokemon on your bench. So that hits up for, 30 times each of your ancient Pokemon in play. So up to 180 damage
80.
for a fighting and a colorless. Tim and I do play the Pokemon TCG, we swear, but knowing all of these cards based on a blurry picture sometimes is a bit challenging. Kudos to you for knowing that, though, Tim.
Well, and I haven't really given Ancient Box a run yet. I've watched some of it, so I'm not used to reading the beatdown that Koraidon gives. Earthen Vessel going to be played here.
He didn't have any good cards in his hand, so this is going to be more likely to see the cards that he actually needs, benefiting him a lot. Marco had selected some cards that he might need as well, so that might knock him down a little bit. We'll see, though, if John can get his board state a little bit better established. Not a bad move. Oh, I should point out, too, that these are juniors, so they are 11 or younger, so the playstyle might be a little bit different than the Masters we were just watching.
Sure.
Both of them in their 20s, so a little bit, been playing this a little bit longer.
A Pidgey. It's not going to matter too much if he's got that Fire Energy and Counter Catcher sitting around. And that's going to pass it back over to Marco. Off the instant charge, I saw the Charmander, the Heat Tackle one that we were talking about last game. Heat Tackle, 30 damage for a single energy, 10 damage to yourself on the Charmander there.
Now, one thing I'm concerned about on John's side of the board is he does not have another Charmander established. So if this Charmander goes down, he will be behind another turn and getting that big Charizard out. Granted, it will help him do more damage once that Charizard eventually gets established, but it's going to allow Marco.
It does end your turn, so you can't use any of the cards that you draw until the following turn. Radiant Greninja there going to engage the Concealed Cards ability. Fighting type Pokemon haven't been too supported since Rapid Strike Urshifu, and that rotated out of the format. So,
Rest in peace, Rapid Strike. We won't miss you.
No.
And your double gunner nonsense. All right, no attack coming from Marco's side of the board now. We'll see what John decides to do right now.
John able to jump up Flare Veil Charmeleon.
So if we have at least 3 ancient cards in the discard pile for Marco, he will be taking a KO as long as he can get that Koraidon out of the active. I think the Koraidon has a 2 retreat cost, though, so it's going to be a big ask. Don't know if he plays any switches.
And he does have at least 2 ancient cards in the discard pile, because we did see an Earthen Vessel played and Sada's Vitality played. I may have missed if there was a third one. There's another Vessel in hand, so he's up to 3 now. Just need to get that... but the Koraidon just wants to beat things down. He's hanging out. He's refusing to move.
Primordial beatdown or bust. At the same time, too, on Marco's side of the board, he's been able to establish his board really well, but because he hasn't been attacking John. All right, John able to go and a tool card. Because of the Rotom V, he can find a Forest Seal Stone and attach it there, and then go get another card he would like. Opts for a rare candy. Going to be able to get the Pidgeot EX if he has some options in his hand.
So he's going to choose to discard his second Ultra Ball and... Oh, no. Maybe... Oh, that's just the first Ultra Ball. I thought he threw another one down. Ultra Ball...
He played one earlier in the game, but I think that was the first one this turn.
Ultra Ball to Super Rod away with a Jirachi. Jirachi not going to do too much for you in this matchup.
I will say it's an interesting choice for a junior to be playing Jirachi because we don't see a lot of Sableye or damage counter placement from basic attacks.
True.
So you see a lot of Masters playing that for the Lost Zone matchup, but a junior, pretty common just to see that as like a 7th energy. So, all right, there is the Charizard running the silver alternate art. Both of these players flexing with the alt art on us adults. Kudos to both of the parents of these kids that have bought them these super sweet cards. Going to see another Charmeleon opting to play the 2 Charmeleon. That is the Flare Veil one you mentioned earlier, Tim.
Yes, Flare Veil, another way to prevent effects of attacks, much like the Jirachi would, but this one specifically covering Charmeleon. V-Star marker being placed down. John considering playing the Forest Seal Stone. Forest Seal Stone with the Star Alchemy ability.
I think that's called loading the chamber with a V-Star when you place the marker down and then you use it and you flip it over. You're like, hey, just so you're aware, I can use this now.
I've got one.
Got one, and there it is. Go into the deck, find any card you like. You don't have to tell anyone about it. You don't have to show anyone. You just get whatever you like. Probably one of the most powerful, most versatile V-Star abilities or V-Star powers, just because you can attach it to any V Pokemon. Unfortunately, can't be attached to any basics that aren't Vs. Can't be attached to any EXs. Gonna go get the Prime Catcher. Gonna promote the free retreat Pidgeot EX, and then likely retreating into the Charizard EX. I am really impressed with that sequencing. That was a long, well thought out play by John.
Really was. I'm wondering if John is forgetting that the capsule is there and then he's not going to be taking a knockout yet, or if he is okay just swinging into it and establishing that 180 damage, possibly to vacuum it away next turn.
Now, has he used Quick Search yet?
I believe he did in order to get the Charizard EX out.
All the King's Horses for a Lost Vacuum in some of these Charizard versus Ancient Box matchups. Could be placing 180 damage. Now, I will say on the following turn, if he does find his way into a Lost Vacuum and this Roaring Moon is retreated, he could just take the KO with the Lost Vacuum and then KO whatever else is promoted. So a great play by John with the options he had.
Yeah, I suppose like that would be a good reason to not worry about the fact that you're not taking the KO yet, because if your vacuum is in your deck, like you said, you're going to be able to take that prize on the following turn, and then another one with whatever Marco promotes.
Yeah, we do have the eye in the sky view here from the Mile High studio here at the Forge. So it's a little bit easier for us to see these plays, but impressed by both of these junior players making these more advanced calculated plays, establishing their board state. Pretty impressive. Explorer's Guidance. We talked about it last game.
Yep.
I'm looking at you right now, Tim. I don't like this card because this card to me is Pokestop. Like, it could be amazing. You could put 4 cards you don't need in the discard pile that power up this dude. But whenever I play cards like this, it's like all of my energy. I will draw 6 straight energy.
Yeah, or I mean, so Ancient Box, you're like, hey, this is great. I could get a bunch more Ancient cards into my discard pile, and then I'll take the 2 that I really, really need. But like you said, I think the cost of I'm getting rid of 4 of them to take 2 that I want. That's pretty steep.
You get a lot of options. Like you're seeing a lot of cards, but it's like you only let me keep 2 of them.
Yeah,
I think the card should have been like you draw. It should have been Colress.
sure.
Like
keep 3, get rid of 2.
right. Although I'm sure someone right now is having an aneurysm watching this saying that would be way too powerful. That's sort of the point, viewers. I want a broken card that makes me feel cool. So
They already broke Charizard. They can break another deck.
they should make a grass deck that is just straight up what Charizard is, but it's just grass.
That's another thing that
like
makes
hard counter.
Charizard as broken as it is. It has, tank ability, energy acceleration, on board, go and get whatever you want with Pidgeot if you're playing it. And its weakness is grass. Grass is irrelevant right now for the most part. They're printing things like Iron Leaves as a counter for Charizard, but there aren't a lot of grass options for like I'm going to play grass and I'm going to just wreck Charizard.
There is some energy acceleration in the Forretress EX, but you have to blow yourself up to do it. There was a Bulbasaur energy acceleration, but then you're running like multiple Pokemon just for energy acceleration.
Yeah,
Charizard is the whole package.
yeah. I have
Everyone likes him. Comes with energy acceleration. He's got way too much health. We're all kind of getting sick of it.
And you talked about the money thing. I think they just released or announced the release of another print of the Charizard EX. I think they're going to be on their like 9th one.
Oh, perfect.
So they're like, here's another one that you need to buy for your collection or that you like better for your deck. You can replace the ones you already have.
So if I said that they have them here right now, would we hear your headset hit the desk again, though?
Off I go.
All right, bringing it back to the game here. Going to see a KO taken by John. The first KO for him. First KO for the entire game, taking a knockout on that Roaring Moon, leaving Marco with actually a pretty good established board state. Marco last turn putting some damage on the Charizard EX. John, though, having a Charizard EX as backup. God draw support in both Pidgeot and the Rotom, and the Charmander ready to be powered up into a Charizard too. Both their board states pretty good. Let's see if Marco can pull off the math and get enough in the discard pile to start taking 1 or big 2-hit KOs on John's board state though. So you have Poké Gear 3.0. Look at the top 7, and then keep any one supporter you find there.
Kind of a double-edged sword here going on with Marco's situation. He did pre-establish some damage on that Charizard EX. He does have the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, on the Roaring Moon. But if he takes a knockout on this Charizard, he sets John up to say, I don't care about your capsule, I'm knocking you out in one attack, and just, again, asking Marco to do more and more in response KOs.
I have seen it on the last game, and one of the reasons Tom kind of petered out towards the end is it's hard to constantly build up these single prize attackers. Granted, you're only giving up 1 prize, but you're constantly giving up the resources you've used to get them powered up. So yes, if you can get them powered up every turn, 2-shot everything. It's still an even prize trade for you. But sometimes this deck, the Ancient Box, will stumble to draw those cards. The one A-spec card that really helps it is the Awakening Drum, where you draw a card from your deck for each of your ancient Pokemon. But even then, sometimes 5 cards isn't enough to do what you need to do.
I think it'd be tough, too, if you get to that Awakening Drum at a point where you've already Explorer's Guidanced some of your key resources away, then you might be drawing into things you don't need as much, lessening the effectiveness.
Speaking of Explorer's Guidance, going through one right now, opting to get rid of a couple of his supporters, giving Marco a huge amount of credit for keeping his hand organized and the cards he was going through organized. Sometimes you'll see some of the newer players, juniors or seniors, kind of mixing the two together, and then that's a hard board state to recover. So good job, Marco, on keeping everything nice and clean.
I remember doing that myself, actually, the first time that I played Lost Box, and I was looking at a Colress. I mashed everything together.
Whoops.
I was looking at my hand. I was like, what do I need? And the player I was playing against was very polite about it. He said, hey, can you just keep those separate? I was like, oh, I didn't know. I've never done this before.
And then did they say, we can tell? It shows.
It definitely did show. Come a long way since that time. I still don't play Lost Box, though.
Does your brain hurt when you play it?
Yeah, I don't enjoy it.
All right.
It looked like Marco, while I was rambling about Lost Box, he did take the knockout on the damaged Charizard EX. John happy to promote the fresh Charizard. And it looks like he's going to get another one established here too with a rare candy.
Now, this is an intimidating board state on John's side of things. The question is, did he check his energy before he did that establishment? Because if he doesn't have 2 energy right now, there's 1. Might be coming up a little bit short and having to go quick search for a super rod. There is 2.
There we go.
I question how much energy he has left in his deck. He might not need it, though, because there's only 2 Charizards on the board and not a whole lot else needed. Could get a Rotom locked in the active to buy Marco some turns, or just take 2 easy prizes there. But we'll see what John's going to do here. I think he might just be swinging into this Baby Roaring Moon that's in the active right now. Like you had mentioned, Tim, it is doing enough damage now to overcome the 200 HP that it has even with that Ancient Booster Capsule.
Well, and here's what you're looking at. Like you said on Marco's side of the board, single prizers are great. You do need to be able to chain these attacks, and now there is no damaged Charizard on the board, so you're going to have to be swinging for that 330 threshold we talked about last game. That's going to be 26 ancient cards in the discard pile, which is
most of these
absurd.
ancient decks too only play 28 to 30 ancient cards, so it's unless their deck is almost completely gone, it's really hard to take those big one-hit KOs. At the end of the game, very easy, set it up. You've got 1 attack. You have no deck left, essentially. You can take those big one-hit KOs. But because Marco needs to knock out 2 of these Charizards, he has to use the resources to get his stuff established. Are we going to see Mill?
Great Tusk.
We're going to see Mill.
I was just
Out of nowhere.
I love myself a Great Tusk, and to be able to discard key resources. Great Tusk does allow you to discard cards from your opponent's deck. 1, if you haven't played an Ancient Supporter for turn. If you do play an Ancient Supporter for turn, it discards 4 off the top of the deck.
Now, how many cards is in John's deck? It's looking really
it
thin.
looks light.
It looks like 4 cards.
Yeah. That would be incredible. Discard 4 past the turn. In Pokemon TCG, if you do not have cards to draw at the beginning of your turn, you do lose the game. So this could be this could be pretty exciting here.
You got to get powered up. Does take 2 colorless. Don't know if Marco plays a double turbo energy because it's not doing damage. The double turbo doesn't really affect it. It just essentially enables it.
Pokegear here, pulling Explorer's Guidance.
I am proud to say that, and I'm very confident in this, I am the only person ever on stream to win with Mill. If you want to go watch my Lugia Whiscash Mill, I think it was sometime in August of last year. I was particularly proud of how well that nonsense deck worked.
There have been many who have tried. John, the only one to lift up the trophy and pull the dub.
Accomplishments in life. Marrying my beautiful wife and my son tied at the same time. A close second, successfully milling someone out on stream.
I love the mention and the ordering. The ordering is correct. Wife and kids first. Mill right thereafter.
All right.
Explorer's Guidance here. Looking at those 6 cards again.
Deck looking really thin. Probably not going to keep the Awakening Drum because that would be milling yourself out.
Yeah, Marco's got to be real careful here. I think he's got 2 left in deck.
Similar strategy for John, too. If John can just attack pass and remove some of the resources from the board, he could just continue to pass as Marco draws 1 card at a time, his deck to nothing.
Marco putting the Great Tusk down here without a way to be able to use that mill attack, it would open up a quick search boss. I'll take out your Tusk, and now you really don't have a way to win this game, essentially.
And if he plays Sadas as well, he'll have to draw 3 cards. Doesn't have enough to do it.
That's disappointing. I would have loved to see that mill.
It's still possible, though. He could Sadas for the last turn of the game, mill 4 cards, and then...
Yeah, that's there.
It's there. It's possible. Win condition against Charizard. Run them out of cards. I love it. All right, let's see if he can pull it off. Probably going to establish some damage right now, counting up his ancient cards. If he can get to 26 in the discard pile, that will be enough to one-hit KO this Charizard. 10 damage for each ancient card in your discard pile, plus 70 base damage. is that magic 330 number. Can you do it?
Marco definitely down to the bottom of his deck, like we had talked about before. Does look like maybe a little bit shy of a one-hit knockout. Marco debating if he can afford to discard any additional.
He can use the Superior Energy Retrieval to get 2 of those Sadas into the discard pile if he wants to. And is there a way where he can get that Ancient Booster Capsule? So if this thing goes down with a Booster Capsule opting for a Defiance Band, that might have fixed the math. Could Superior Energy Retrieval those items away?
Counting up again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 cards. He is 5 short. So if he were to discard those 2 Sadas with the Superior Energy Retrieval, with the Defiance Band, it's not going to work because they're tied on prizes.
Ooh. Oh, no, Marco.
Oh, no,
is Marco ahead?
I miscounted. It could work.
Is Marco's at 4 prize cards? Is John at 5?
It looks like he's at 5.
So that Defiance Band is not going to be active for him. Oh, that would have been amazing.
Oh, I forgot how Defiance Band works. When
Yeah,
you're behind on prizes.
If you're behind, it's going to allow you to tack on another 30 damage. Everything was lined up perfectly until we
Got tunnel vision.
fluff out the prize cards a little bit and we see that it's 5-4.
So he will be 3 short. So right now, potentially,
Insane. Really speaks to the aggression of.
just saw the Judge Ryan come over, correcting a board state here. It looks like he was supposed to have taken an extra prize card, so that would leave them currently tied.
Okay, so Defiance Band's still not going to be able to be active, but it does fix our board state a little bit there.
Charizard EX barely surviving with 30 HP remaining.
Incredible aggression, by the way, of Ancient Box to be at the point we're at 4-4 on prizes, and Marco's about to deck out.
Yeah,
Like,
both
it
of
just
both these
burned
decks.
through these decks.
Yep. Extremely powerful cards. Going to take the KO, going down to 3 prizes. So right now, if he could get another Roaring Moon established, the thing is he doesn't have the energy acceleration to necessarily do it. If he could find 1 more energy, he could Superior Energy Retrieval into a Sadas to do a land collapse to mill him out if he has 4 cards remaining. Can he put it together?
Well, he just promoted Koraidon, so unfortunately, I don't think he's eyeing up that move. Could end up with Koraidon stuck in the active here again.
Would allow him to do it next turn. Maybe bring something up like that Rotom to stall. Rotom not able to take a knockout here because no electric energy in that Charizard EX deck. I'm excited though if Marco realizes that he could potentially let him take some prizes, see how many are left in the deck, pull his deck down a little bit, play that last Sawdust to energy accelerate onto the Great Tusk. We could see a mill for the win.
Yeah. So Marco did pass the turn, which forces John to draw another card. So actually, Marco astutely realizing that it was not the time to accelerate to his Tusk because he would have decked himself out. Now's the time. This is full send, mill time.
Are we going to see another mill victory on stream here?
May have spoken too soon.
Did he have game in hand and didn't realize it?
Oh, no. We're going to have to go and check and see how many cards were left in deck there.
We don't know because they scooped.
Oh, yeah, they picked everything up.
They picked everything up. All right, everyone. That was, I mean, like, I'm like tingling all over because there was going to be another mill victory.
Mill.
All right. Great gameplay played by the juniors. We always love seeing these great players here at the Forge. If you're 11 and watching us, congratulations for joining us here at the Forge. You can come play at the Forge as well. But yeah, we'll be right back with a winner interview with John, who won with his Charizard deck. Stick around. We'll be right back. I think he had it.
I think so.
I think he had it. Oh, we're still live. Hey, everyone.
Really, really wanted to see that.
A huge shout out to Andrew, who is our tech guy, currently having a conversation with somebody back there. Yeah, we'll be right back with the winner's interview. Stick around. We will be right back. You got us, Andrew? There we go. Welcome back, Pokemon fans, to Tuesday Night Pokemon. We are here with the winner, John. John, first off, I love your name. It is the best name of anyone ever. Congratulations on the win with the Charizard deck. How long have you been playing Charizard?
Around like 2 months, I think.
That's an extremely impressive game that you just played for only playing this deck for 2 months. What do you like about the Charizard deck?
I think once you like get Pidgeot going, it becomes like pretty consistent, and you can get more Charizards going faster.
We saw, and I made a comment about this too, your sequencing, even though you had a little bit of a slow start, evolving into the Charmeleon, getting the Pidgeot EX, then going into a Charizard. And one thing I really like too is you kept developing your board state the entire time. Clearly shows that we should be keeping an eye on you in the upcoming Pokemon TCG seasons. How old are you right now?
11.
You're 11, so next year you move into the seniors?
Yeah.
I think the seniors need to be concerned about John competing with them. You got us here on stream. We got our viewers. Is there anybody else you want to say hi to, or maybe thanks to your dad who's standing right behind you?
I think Mom and Uncle Anthony are watching. Say hi to them.
All right. Hi to Mom, Uncle Anthony, my brother, and yeah, that's it.
Don't say forget to say thanks to Charizard as well.
Thanks
right.
you, Charizard.
Thank
being
you.
a deck.
Yeah, right. And being a Dark Terra type too, so he's even cooler.
Yes.
John, thanks for playing us with you here at the Forge. I'd like to remind everybody too, if you want to play on stream, you do get a pack as a thank you from us for playing on stream. John, congratulations on your win. Good luck in your next round too.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks.
Stick around, guys. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
We are back. Welcome back, Tuesday Night Pokemon fans. We're going to kick it over in a minute here to our final stream matchup of the night. We are going to be seeing Hisuian Zoroark V-Star against Turbo Iron Hands. So a future deck against an older deck that got some new tools in recent sets. Scarlet and Violet 151 providing the Dodrio for the Zoroark deck. Dodrio allows you to draw cards, and it also places damage counters on the Dodrio, and then Dodrio does damage based on damage on the Pokemon. So you're able to kind of boost your own damage on a single prizer late in the game while you're drawing.
All right, let's head over. Really familiar with Tim.
Yeah, I used to play Zoroark V-Star for a while. This was before the 151 set. But basically, it's about pinging yourself with damage to swing for big knockouts with the Zoroark V-Star. Zoroark V-Star, I think it's 50 damage for each Pokemon that has damage counters in play on your side. So it could be up to 300, 280 if you have a double turbo energy attached.
I like how Oscar's taking a moment to say, wait a minute, I haven't seen this in a while. What does Ticking Curse do?
What does Zoroark V do?
It does have the V-Star ability to Phantom Star. During your current turn, you can discard your hand and draw 7 cards. So it's like Professor's Research is baked into your big attacker too.
Well, and you can pair that. So you could play a Research and then Phantom Star again to see 14 cards if you need all of them.
Speaking of milling yourself,
Here
oh,
we are
I
again.
did have a correction. In the last game, we talked to Marco and talked to John. It looks like he had less than 4 cards on stream. He had significantly more than 4 cards on stream. So sorry for getting excited about that. We were rooting for both of them, but a mill win is just something you're not expecting to see on stream. So
We like to see unusual things play out in the Pokemon TCG.
all right, Oscar at the top there, starting with the optimal start Miraidon for 1 colorless, able to do 40 damage, and then grab 2 energy from your deck and attach him to your future Pokemon in any way you would like. So we're going to see an attack, a little bit of a boop onto that Zoroark V, and then probably see some energy getting established on the Iron Hands. Turbo Hands we've seen with Oscar featuring it before. Got the Heavy Baton to slide energy back if he wants to as well from the damaged Iron Hands onto another one. So if he can get these established and start taking big swings with the Iron Crowns combined with Iron Hands, we might see this Hisuian Zoroark taken down for 3 in a turn or 2.
Oscar looking at the hand there, debating if he wanted to play Techno Radar, discarding that baton, because ultimately he's going to want to play the generator. And a boss's orders here could be effective if he eyed up the Doduo. Because he could take a knockout then with the Miraidon on the Doduo.
Historically, also E-Gens on stream, not good. We don't see a lot of hits.
That's good.
Speaking of not good things, if you like spending too much money, don't come to the Forge.
They have
If you like saving money, 20% off Pokemon stuff tonight. I think they're doing all Pokemon stuff tonight. And throughout the week, don't forget to use the discount code Forge Pokemon Discount. Thanks again to the Forge for letting us chat Pokemon. And Tim, thanks for joining us again this week.
absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
You have that natural announcer's voice.
I've been working on it ever since you mentioned it. I think it was the first week that we did this. I've been doing vocal exercises.
Would you like to do some for us?
No, thank you for calling my bluff. I haven't been doing anything like that.
We would have believed you, man. You should have gone for it.
So Oscar did line up that play that I thought he was going to go for. He did boss up the Doduo, recognizing that placing damage without knocking out the Zoroark is actually helping Mike, not hurting him. Taking away his draw could hurt him, though. So he did play that generator and the Techno Radar to get maybe a couple of Iron Crowns, it looks like. We do have that awful glare. Please buy the anti-glare sleeves. Come to the Forge, pick them up. Use the discount code.
You are more likely to play on stream if you play anti-glare sleeves. That is actually a thing. All right, not a bad hand for Oscar. Got an Iono for Disruption next turn. Got energy established on that Iron Hands. Let's see how Mike decides to return the favor.
So Mike here, Ultra Ball, Iono and Jet Energy. wisely pitching away the Gent Energy. He wasn't able to get an energy attachment for turn last time, and a Gent Energy right now, without a means of energy accelerating, is not going to do Mike any good.
Minor earthquake. Players bracing themselves.
Mike's going to want to dig instead and see if he can find a double turbo energy to attach to the Zoroark V-Star. Going to be able to do plenty of digging. Again, we do have that V-Star ability that allows you to essentially Professor's research, and we're going to see a research here.
It's like you can predict the future. I think we're going to see a research into another research.
Probably, unless Mike happens to find absolutely everything that he needs. But actually, Zoroark V-Star needs damage in play to do any damage to Oscar. So Mike is going to have to get some Pokemon in play that have damage counters on them. Right now, Zoroark would be swinging for nothing.
Capturing Aroma. Heads, go get an evolution. Tails, go get a basic. Looks like he got a head, so we might see an evolution Pokemon here.
Could choose to get a... Gengar. Gengar, so if you're able to discard it, Gengar has the Netherworld Gate ability. Allows you to pull it from the discard pile and put it on your bench. You place 3 damage counters on it. So that, if you pair with the damage pump that Zoroark V-Star plays, lets you move damage around. And Mike could very quickly be swinging for some big damage here.
Speaking of discard, got the Ultra Ball. Probably going to see that Gengar go into the discard pile and then just reappear on the bench with damage counters.
Yep.
And then I think we're going to see a V-Star ability where this whole hand's going to get discarded. We're going to see 7 new cards.
Mike, by the way, playing the optimal version of the Gengar. I was going to say illustration rare, but it's the trainer gallery, the former trainer gallery. But it's Gengar hanging out with the Misfortune Sisters. Is pretty cool artwork. Just random tidbit.
It's the Ferrari of Gengar cards.
That's right. Pick it up for $4, I think. It's Ferrari for $4.
I will say, too, having only played the TCG now for 2 years, after having taken 24 years off, back when Electabuzz was the card to play, and you only had 2 of them because that's how many you opened when you were 12.
Yep.
I will say it's interesting to see the TCG still stay relatively affordable compared to other TCGs, where like a very cool art card is $4, and like the most expensive playable card right now, Prime Catcher, is like $25.
Funny enough, like even though like Pokemon is a very affordable TCG, I've been just digging my heels in on a Prime Catcher. I don't have one yet because I don't want to spend the $25-$30 or whatever on it. I'm like, it's gonna come down in price. It's probably not
is this
for a
the
while.
Same Tim who earlier ran across the store to buy that 20%?
I did buy a Charizard last week. No Prime Catcher though. I could have bought 4 Prime Catchers by now.
But then you wouldn't have that Charizard.
I wouldn't.
Which plays better.
It's true.
It's very, very true. Do you want me to loan you a Prime Catcher?
Do you just have an
I
abundance
can
of
figure something out.
Gengar hitting the bench, 3 damage counters. Looked like a damage pump was played. So damage pump lets you move damage counters from up to 2 damage counters to different Pokemon. So placing damage counters across Mike's board. That ticking curse attack is 50 times the amount of damaged Pokemon. So that's a swing for 250 right there. 5 Pokemon on the bench with damage counters. 50 times 5, 250 will knock it out.
Now, Iron Hands, with its 120 amp you very much attack, can be dramatically pumped up with 4 Iron Crowns and a future booster capsule to do 100 more damage. But that still leaves you only at 220. Even if you use its other attack for 160 damage, plus the extra 100, you've got this Hisuian Zoroark V-Star that is still out of range because it hasn't had any damage counters on it. So I'm interested to see how Oscar's going to piece this together. He's going to have to boss up something from the bench, get those 4 Iron Crowns down to take out the 200 to 220 HP Hisuian Zoroark V's on the bench, or go for, that would be the 3 prize opportunity, or just boss up single prizers that he can just amp you very much. But that might still leave him behind in the prize trade just because they are even at 5. And if he can't take 2 or 3, then he's just going to fall further behind. Free Retreat Mew into the Iron Hands.
Looks like Oscar may be going to punch here.
Does have energy attachment for turn if he wishes to use it. Unless he has he already?
No, I don't think so. I didn't see. I believe he entered the turn with 3 on it already. Yeah, it's going to be an arm press for, is it 200? Is there 2 crowns?
It
on
does
the
look
bench?
like 200, yes.
200.
Mike opting to use D20s. Actually not tournament legal because how quickly they topple over and all of a sudden a 1 is a 9.
But they look sweet.
They do look really cool. All right, capturing
Oscar
roll.
going to be in a pretty precarious situation here. The Iron Hands going to go down to the ticking curse attack here. And he does have the baton attached to it, but he's going to move those energies over to a Pokemon he doesn't want to. Mew EX or Iron Crown. Neither of those are going to be great options right now. Mike YOLOing the energies away. It's just Ultra Balls, Double Turbo, and Jet Energy says not going to need those.
He already has the 2 he needs. He's fine.
That's true.
Dodrio going to allow him to draw some more cards. Excuse me. Dotrio.
Yeah,
There's 3 heads.
Dodrio with the zooming draw ability. Once during your turn, you may put 1 damage counter on this Pokemon if you do draw a card. And then the Ballistic Beak attack could be used down the road. Ballistic Beak is a 10 plus damage. It does 30 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon.
And being a single prizer, hitting for big numbers is pretty cool because you're leaving that lesser liability. Actually, previously 2 times on the stream here tonight, we've seen the single prizers be very useful because their damage ramps up while only leaving a single prize liability in the active. See, was that a professor's research?
That was, and Mike wisely thinning the Manaphy out of his deck before that. When the Capturing Aroma hit, pulled Manaphy out of the deck, recognized I don't need this. He's also going to vacuum away the baton. That is Turbo Hands' worst nightmare because it prevents the energy from being redistributed to his bench Pokemon when
Now,
it's knocked out.
we saw Psychic Energy in Oscar's hand, and Iron Crown does have an attack. He's got the Psychic Energy. If that Heavy Baton hadn't been discarded, he may have been able to put some energy onto... Oh, no, it doesn't have a 4 retreat cost, so it wouldn't have worked. But if he can get one of these Iron Crowns powered up, he would be able to do 50 damage to 2 of his opponent's bench Pokemon and then just take 2 prizes if those Dotrios have too much damage on them. So it's an option for him. We'll see if he can piece those puzzle pieces together, though.
Mike possibly putting himself in a position to run away with this game, to be honest with you. The damage established with the Iron Hands, helpful, but not enough right now. Mike already down to 3 prize cards, Oscar on 5. And Mike well set up to be taking KOs every turn at this point.
Doing 300 damage, right?
It is 300 with Ticking Curse. 280, minus 20 for the Double Turbo Energy, but 280 is still plenty to knock out anything that Oscar's going to be able to put in play right now.
And Iron Hand's really good into most decks. Iron Hand's really good into Charizard if Charizard stumbles a little bit because you're taking 2/2/2 prizes if it can get set up. But this isn't something you normally see in the meta. Hisuian Zoroark V-Star, popular 2 formats ago when it was first released in that Sword and Shield era. But right now, kind of hitting for 280 damage over and over and over again with really no downside is pretty darn powerful if this Iron Hands can't get set up to take that 260 damage.
Well, and
with it.
280 damage with a single energy attachment, too. We talked about the power twice of Charizard being able to accelerate the energy it needs and be able to swing freely and whatnot. But if all you need is a double turbo to slap on and hit 280, you're in pretty good shape.
All right, because of this stadium and play Gapejaw Bog, any Pokemon played to the bench get 2 damage counters placed upon them. Counterintuitively, that is actually used to help Mike's side of the board because he'll play down a Pokemon, add damage counters, and all of a sudden his Hisuian Zoroark is doing an extra 50 damage with that ticking curse.
Yeah, typically you'd imagine like, hey, this is going to be something that harms my opponent. It's great, but this is actually purely there to establish and fuel the damage of Mike's deck.
All right, let's see what Oscar can piece together here. Does have some energy on the Iron Hands. Could potentially promote the Miraidon to get some energy acceleration to the Iron Hands. Does need to find a little bit more support, though, for the Iron Hands. Oh, it was enough damage on it from the previous Iron Hands for Oscar to take some prizes and accelerate some energy to the Iron Hands. So I will say, if Oscar can figure out a way to take a 3-prize KO. He will win the game.
He will.
That is a big ask, though, because he's just one promotion away. Mike's one promotion away from getting this Hisuian V-Star out of range of any potential Iron Hands attack.
Well, and I could be mistaken, but I want to say that I saw boss's orders in Mike's hand previously. That could have been researched away. I could be forgetting at this point in the night. But I did see a boss at some point. If he was able to boss that hands before it's able to get going, then that would be a huge play for Mike as well.
Forgive the silence here, viewers. We're trying to see how Mike is going to piece this together. Right now doing 230 damage, so still enough to take out an Iron Hands with the damage established on the board. Wondering if Mike can get another backup attacker established. If he were to leave a Dotrio in the active and the Iron Hands were to come up and take an Ampy very much, that would be the 2 prizes that Oscar would need to go down to 1, really making this a hit or miss game for Mike if he's still at 3 prizes.
Capturing Roma is going to flip heads, which is going to be an evolution Pokemon, so we're probably going to see another Dodrio come down. It's not really another evolution Pokemon that Mike is going to be looking to establish right now. I had to have been mistaken at this point on the boss, otherwise Mike would have slammed it down. So it's
This is true.
it's not there, I'm sure, but
Just seen another earthquake. You would have heard the card whistling through the air. It would have slammed the table so hard. All right, Mike trying to establish a 5th Pokemon right now, though. Place some damage counters on it automatically because of that Gape Jaw Bog, as long as he plays it from his hand. Opting to up the damage a little bit on his Trios. Going to draw some cards because of that damage increase, because of its ability.
now, excuse me, Dodrio's ability is a draw 1, but he drew 2 cards because he flipped it on both of his bench Dodrios.
All right, going to take the KO on the Miraidon. Oscar ready for that with the free retreat Mew. Top deck to Lost Vacuum. Does have Prime Catcher in hand, so he's able to reorganize the board at the same time. Now, here's the thing. If he leaves a 2-prizer in the active and does not take out this Hisuian Zoroark, he is going to lose. He has to take it out this turn. It has 1 damage counter on it, so it is 1 damage short of what the Iron Hands could potentially do. So how is Oscar going to fix this? Get another Miraidon down? Just punch into it? Hope he doesn't have the boss? Just delay a little bit by bossing something up? I'm interested to see how Oscar sets this up.
So I'm trying to do math here. Oscar did put the Future Booster Energy Capsule on it, so that's 20. I'm wondering, could an arm press plus crowns on the bench be, so we've got 160, 180, 220. He's a little bit short right now. Does he have access to more crowns potentially? Because if he could take the KO with arm press, Mike, I don't believe, is doing enough damage yet with his Dodrios to take a response KO with that. Oscar reading to see if that's the case. Ballistic Beak, 30 damage for each damage counter on it. So currently the most damaged Dodrio has 40 on it, it looks like. So 130, not enough to take a KO. Mike really needs this V-Star to survive a turn here.
Adding a little bit of damage onto those Iron Hands, bringing it down to 210 HP remaining. Going to see another Iron Crown. So the total damage boost from the Booster Capsule and the 3 Iron Hands. Oh, reconsidering it. It would be 80 extra damage on top of the 160 from the Arm Press. But opting to go with the Prime Catcher first. Going to bring up a Dodrio. I think we are going to Lost Vacuum away on Iron Crown, get rid of Gape Jaw Bog,
Okay.
and then a clean high 5 research.
I was going to say, this feels like a losing play otherwise, but what Oscar is trying to line up here, removing the Dodrio from play, removing the Gape Jaw Bog from play, would mean that Mike on a following turn, and if he promotes the Zoroark V-Star would not be swinging for that 230 damage. So that kind of safeguards him there if Mike is not able to establish another damaged Pokemon.
Now, if Mike can get the Gengar in the discard pile, though, that will be able to come out and then establish the 230 again.
Yep.
He has taken 20 damage as well, so he only needs to hit that magic 210 number. But because it's in multiples of 50, it's going to just be one more Pokemon onto the bench, find a way to get some damage counters on it. And I think we're going to see Mike take this win. And if he doesn't...
If he has a damage pump here. Damage pump... oh, maybe not. Promoting that Dodrio to me indicates that...
Oh,
there
there's
we
a
go.
damage pump. There's 2 damage pumps.
Oh, he wants to take the KO with the crazy bird, maybe? Is he loading up enough damage here?
What? Are we just flexing on with our bird heads?
I think that's exactly what Mike is doing, actually. Having a difficult time reading the damage counter here. If it is reading 8,
That is going to be enough.
that would be
240.
240, correct.
And it looks like Oscar realized that the writing is on the bird in the form of the damage counters. Hisui and Zoroark at the end there taking a very, very narrow victory. I will give Oscar massive credit for piecing together those puzzle pieces to try to bring his Iron Hands up to do the damage while preventing his opponent from having the damage to do the damage. Does that make any sense?
It makes
What I
all the sense in the world.
Great.
In theory, we thought maybe the Zoroark could have potentially run away with it, but we did end up with a closer
Very tight
matchup.
game. Give Oscar tons of credit, too. That's not a matchup you normally play. He was reading the cards. He was figuring it out. Oscar's a science teacher, so it kind of makes sense.
Right.
Cool. I'll be right back with a winner's interview with your friend Mike. Do you mind interviewing Mike?
I think I can manage that.
All right, cool. Stick around, guys. We'll be right back with a winner's interview. Cheers.
All right, Pokemon fans, we are back here with the winners interview. Mike able to take down the Turbo Hands deck with his Hisuian Zoroark V-Star. Definitely something I would guarantee if we pulled Oscar in here right now, he did not have Zoroark on his bingo card of decks that he was expecting. Mike, I think, able to probably catch a lot of people by surprise. We saw Oscar a couple times pull the card to read what on earth is this thing doing. Mike, you've been playing Zoroark for a while online and here at the Forge to a fair amount of success. How are you feeling about the deck and how it played tonight and how it looks going forward?
I feel pretty good about it. Feels pretty hard to brick with it, which is really nice. Just get all the basics out early and then get the Zoroark for Phantom Draw and then 7.
On-board draw support with the Dodrio really helps. Single prizers that are able to take big knockouts later in the game, also huge. We saw Mike take the final KO with the Dodrio. Could have taken it, I think, with the Zoroark V-Star, but flexing a little bit with the Dodrio. Ended up promoting that and hitting that ballistic beak. Yeah, I think Zoroark is really well positioned into anything that isn't like spread damage. I think spread damage probably Zoroark's worst nightmare. If you're able to take KOs, multiple KOs on things that are already damaged, that could really cripple Mike's board state. But on things that are just promoting to the active and saying, I'm going to punch or I'm going to try to knock out your stuff, Zoroark takes like big KOs really quickly.
Yes.
So.
And I agree. Lost Box is terrifying.
Yeah, no Lost Box. But yeah, Mike doing really well tonight with his Zoroark, and I'm sure we'll catch him back at the Forge again another night. Thanks for tuning in with us, and thanks for joining us for the interview. So.
Yes, sir.
And we are back once again. We're going to wrap up tonight at the Forge. Great night of Pokemon. Last week we saw the League Challenge, a little more nitty-gritty kind of play.
Yeah, a lot of donking.
Yeah. This week, still competitive play, but a little more casual at the same time. So
Yep.
we get kind of everything here at the Forge. Hope you enjoyed watching the stream tonight. Remember to stop by at the store, pick up lots of stuff.
Come play with us.
And that.
Yeah, 20% off most Pokemon stuff on Tuesdays. It's kind of up to the owners to see how much the stock they have if they want to do that. But they're doing it tonight. If you want to run over here before they close in an hour and a half, don't forget to use the code Pokemon discount, or the Pokemon discount code Forge Pokemon discount through next Monday. Get 10% off all your purchases here at the Forge. Tim, thank you for joining me talking about Pokemon all night.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Clean research.
Yes.
All right, well, guys, we'll see you next week. Yeah, talk to you then. Cheers.